The abduction. The night sky over New Mexico shimmered with countless stars, a tapestry of cosmic wonders that never failed to captivate 17-year-old Zhou Chen. She sat cross-legged on the roof of her family's isolated desert home, her prized telescope aimed at the heavens. The cool air nipped at her skin, but Zhou barely noticed, lost in the endless expanse above. Zhou wasn't like other teenagers. While her peers obsessed over social media and pop culture, she dreamed of unraveling the universe's mysteries. A certified genius with an eidetic memory, Zhou had already published groundbreaking papers on astrophysics and xenobiology. Tonight, she hoped to gather more data for her latest theory on exoplanetary atmospheres. As she adjusted her telescope's focus, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Something that shouldn't be there. A pinprick of light, moving against the backdrop of stars with unnatural speed and precision. "That's no satellite," Zhou muttered, her heart racing. She fumbled for her phone, activating a custom app she designed to track and analyze celestial objects. As the app's algorithms crunched the data, Zhou's eyes widened in disbelief. The object was massive, at least the size of a football stadium, and it was descending rapidly towards Earth, towards her. In a flash, Zhou was on her feet, scrambling down from the roof. She burst into the house, shouting for her parents. "Mom, Dad, you need to see this." But as she rounded the corner into the living room, Zhou froze. Her parents sat motionless on the couch, their eyes glassy and unfocused. A strange, shimmering field surrounded them, like a bubble of distorted air. "Mom, Dad?" Zhou's voice trembled as she approached. She reached out to touch the field, only to jerk her hand back as a jolt of energy coursed through her fingertips. A low hum filled the air, growing louder by the second. The walls of the house began to vibrate, picture frames rattling against the drywall. Dust fell from the ceiling as the entire structure shook. Panic gripped Zhou's chest. She had to get help, had to call someone. But as she turned to run, a brilliant light flooded the room, pouring in through every window. The hum became a deafening roar, and Zhou felt her feet leave the ground. She screamed, flailing in midair as an unseen force lifted her towards the ceiling. The roof seemed to dissolve, revealing a vast, metallic underbelly of a craft unlike anything human eyes had ever seen. In her last moments of consciousness, Zhou's analytical mind kicked into overdrive. She absorbed every detail she could. The fractal patterns etched into the ship's surface, the pulsing energy fields that defied known physics, the impossible silence that enveloped her as she passed through the solid matter of her home's roof. Then, darkness. Zhou awoke to a world of alien geometries and pulsing bioluminescence. She lay on a smooth, slightly yielding surface that seemed to mold itself to her body. The air felt thick, almost gelatinous, yet she could breathe normally. As her vision cleared, Zhou found herself in a circular chamber. The walls rippled with colors that had no names in human language, forming intricate patterns that seemed to convey information beyond her comprehension. A figure stood at the center of the room. Tall and slender, with skin that shimmered like oil on water, the being regarded Zhou with multifaceted eyes that reflected the chamber's ever-changing lights. Zhou's scientific mind warred with her fear. This was first contact, the moment humanity had speculated about for centuries. And she, Zhou Chen, was at the center of it all. The alien raised a limb, and a holographic display materialized in the air between them. Images flashed by. Star systems, planets, and creatures of impossible diversity. Zhou realized with a start that she could understand the information being presented. Somehow, the alien technology was interfacing directly with her mind. "Welcome, Zhou Chen of Earth," a voice resonated in her head. It wasn't sound, but pure thought, translated into concepts she could grasp. "You have been chosen." Zhou swallowed hard, forcing herself to remain calm. "Chosen for what?" she asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The alien's multifaceted eyes seemed to pulse with amusement. to represent your species in the Great Confluence. More images flooded Zoe's mind. A vast space station orbiting a distant star. Thousands of alien species gathered in a grand arena. Competitions of skill and intellect that defied imagination. Every 1,000 cycles, the advanced species of the galaxy gather to showcase their finest specimens, the alien explained. The winners earn great prestige for their civilizations and the right to continue existing. A chill ran down Zoe's spine. What happens to the losers? The alien's skin rippled in what might have been a shrug. They are deemed unfit for galactic citizenship. Their worlds are repurposed. Zoe's mind reeled. The fate of humanity rested on her shoulders. But why her? There must be others more qualified. She protested. World leaders, renowned scientists. We have observed your species for many cycles. The alien interrupted. You, Zoe Chen, possess a unique combination of intelligence, adaptability, and potential. You are humanity's best hope. Before Zoe could respond, a portal opened in the chamber's wall. Beyond it lay a corridor that seemed to stretch into infinity, its walls adorned with holographic displays of alien worlds and technologies beyond her wildest dreams. Come, the alien gestured. Your training begins now. You have one orbital period of your homeworld to prepare for the trials ahead. Zoe hesitated, her thoughts turning to her parents, still frozen in that strange field back on Earth. My family. Will they be safe? The alien's eyes pulsed again. They will be returned to their normal state, with no memory of these events. If you succeed, they, and all of humanity, will be safe. If you fail, the implication hung heavy in the air. Zoe squared her shoulders, drawing on a well of determination she didn't know she possessed. She had spent her life preparing for this moment, even if she hadn't realized it. Every late night poring over astrophysics textbooks, every hour spent tinkering with her homebrew AI algorithms, it had all led to this. I'm ready, she said, surprised by the conviction in her voice. As Zoe stepped through the portal, leaving behind everything she had ever known, a small part of her marveled at the situation. She had always dreamed of exploring the cosmos, of pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. Now she was humanity's ambassador to the stars, its champion in a contest she barely understood. The alien followed close behind, its fluid movements betraying no emotion. You will be tested in ways you cannot imagine, it said. The challenges ahead will push you to your limits and beyond. But remember, Zoe Chen, you carry with you the hopes and dreams of your entire species. The corridor seemed to shift and warp around them as they walked, revealing glimpses of alien landscapes and incomprehensible technologies. Zoe's mind raced, trying to catalog and understand everything she saw. Each new sight, each fragment of advanced science, could be the key to humanity's survival. What exactly will I be competing in? Zoe asked, her curiosity overcoming her apprehension. The alien's skin rippled in complex patterns. The Great Confluence consists of many trials. Tests of intelligence, of course, but also of creativity, adaptability, and even physical prowess. Each species brings its unique strengths to bear. Zoe nodded, her mind already formulating strategies. And my opponents, what can you tell me about them? They come from across the galaxy, the alien replied. Some from worlds so unlike your own, you would struggle to comprehend their nature. Others, well, you may find them surprisingly familiar. As if on cue, the corridor opened into a vast chamber. Hundreds of beings milled about, some humanoid, others defying description. Zoe saw creatures of living crystal, beings of pure energy, and things that seemed to exist in more dimensions than she could perceive. Welcome to the preparation hub, the alien announced. Here, you will train alongside your fellow competitors. Learn from them, Zoe Chen, but remember, in the end, only the strongest survive. Zoe took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges ahead. She may have been just one human girl, plucked from her home and thrust into a cosmic arena, but she carried with her the ingenuity, the resilience, and the indomitable spirit of her entire species. As she stepped into the crowd of alien beings, Zhou Chen made a silent vow. She would not just survive this ordeal, she would thrive. And when the dust settled, the galaxy would learn exactly what humanity was capable of. The first phase of her cosmic journey had begun. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. And Zhou Chen, unlikely champion of humanity, was ready to show the universe what she was made of. The Galactic Arena. The preparation hub buzzed with an energy unlike anything Zhou had ever experienced. Alien beings of every conceivable form moved about, each focused intently on their training. Some manipulated complex holograms with appendages Zhou couldn't even name, while others engaged in physical exercises that defied the laws of physics as she understood them. Zhou's alien guide, whom she had started calling Shimmer due to its iridescent skin, led her to a small alcove. "This will be your personal training area," Shimmer explained. "It can simulate any environment or challenge you might face in the trials." As if responding to Shimmer's words, the alcove transformed. One moment, Zhou was standing in a sterile, high-tech chamber. The next, she found herself on a rocky cliff face, wind whipping at her clothes, a stormy sea crashing far below. Whoa! Zhou instinctively pressed herself against the rock, her heart racing. The simulation felt utterly real. She could smell the salt in the air, feel the rough texture of the stone beneath her fingers. Shimmer's voice echoed in her mind, though the alien was nowhere to be seen. "Your first lesson begins now. Reach the top of the cliff within the time limit." A holographic timer appeared in Zhou's field of vision, counting down from 10 minutes. She looked up, seeing the cliff stretch at least 100 meters above her. "But I'm not a climber," Zhou protested. "I've never done anything like this." Shimmer's reply was cool and unsympathetic. "The Great Confluence will test more than just your intellect, Zhou Chen. You must adapt, or you will fail." Gritting her teeth, Zhou began to climb. Her muscles screamed in protest, unused to this kind of exertion. Twice, she nearly lost her grip, her heart leaping into her throat as she scrabbled for purchase on the unforgiving rock. But as she climbed, something strange happened. The more Zhou focused on the task at hand, the more she felt her mind expanding. It was as if the very act of pushing her physical limits was unlocking new cognitive abilities. She began to see patterns in the rock face, optimal routes that would conserve her energy. Her hands seemed to know where to grip before her conscious mind had even processed the information. And most incredibly, she found she could manipulate her own body's responses, redirecting blood flow, adjusting her metabolism on the fly. With 2 minutes to spare, Zhou hauled herself over the top of the cliff. She lay on her back, gasping for breath, as the simulation faded away. Shimmer materialized beside her. "Impressive," the alien said, its multifaceted eyes pulsing with what might have been approval. "You are learning to tap into your species' hidden potential." Over the next few weeks, or what felt like weeks, as time seemed to flow strangely in this place, Zhou underwent a battery of tests and training exercises. She solved multidimensional puzzles that would have baffled Earth's greatest mathematicians, engaged in debates on philosophy with beings whose very concept of existence differed from her own, and pushed her body to limits she never thought possible. Through it all, Zhou felt herself changing. Her mind worked faster, made connections she never would have seen before. Her body, too, seemed to be evolving, becoming stronger, more resilient. She wondered if this was part of the preparation process, or if the challenges themselves were unlocking latent human potential. But it wasn't all physical and mental training. In her rare moments of downtime, Zhou found herself drawn to the other competitors. Despite the high stakes of the competition, many seemed eager to share knowledge and experiences. There was Zlob, a gelatinous being from a high-gravity world, whose liquid form could reshape itself at will. Zlob taught Zhou about fluid dynamics on a scale she had never imagined, concepts that made her rethink everything she knew about physics. Aaron, a crystalline entity that communicated through light pulses, shared insights into energy manipulation that bordered on magic. Under Aaron's tutelage, Zoe learned to perceive and even influence electromagnetic fields with her mind. And then there was Cax, a hulking, four-armed being with metallic skin. At first, Zoe had been intimidated by Cax's sheer physical presence, but she soon discovered that beneath that tough exterior was a brilliant mind with a passion for xenobiology. Zoe and Cax spent hours discussing the intricacies of alien ecosystems, each learning from the other's unique perspective. As the day of the first trial approached, Zoe felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. She had grown so much in such a short time, but would it be enough? The fate of humanity rested on her performance. The night before the trial, Zoe couldn't sleep. She wandered the preparation hub, marveling at how familiar it had become. Aliens she had once found terrifying or incomprehensible now nodded in greeting as she passed. She found herself in a vast observation deck, a transparent dome that offered a breathtaking view of the star system they orbited. A binary star burned in the distance, its twin suns locked in an eternal dance. Planets of impossible colors and compositions drifted by, each a world of untold wonders. Quite a view, isn't it? A voice startled Zoe from her reverie. She turned to see a humanoid figure standing beside her. At first glance, he could have passed for human. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head with 2 eyes and a mouth. But there was an otherness to him, a fluidity to his movements that spoke of non-terrestrial origin. "I'm Xylos," he said, offering a hand in what was clearly a learned gesture. "Homo Galaxia, at your service." Zoe shook his hand, fascinated. "Homo Galaxia? You mean?" Xylos smiled, an expression just slightly off from a human grin. "Yes, we're distant cousins. You and I. My ancestors left Earth some 50,000 years ago, taken by an advanced species much like you were. We've evolved quite a bit since then." Zoe's mind reeled at the implications. But that would mean that humanity has competed in the Great Confluence before. Xylos finished for her. "Indeed we have. Many times, in fact. Sometimes we've won, sometimes we've lost. But we've always survived, always adapted." He turned to face Zoe fully, his eyes glowing with an inner light. "You carry a heavy burden, Zoe Chen. But know this, you are not alone. Humanity, in all its forms, has a stake in this competition. We may not be able to directly help you, but we're rooting for you all the same." Zoe felt a lump in her throat. Since her abduction, she had felt so isolated, so overwhelmed by the responsibility placed on her shoulders. But now, knowing that other humans, or at least human offshoots, were out there in the galaxy, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. "Thank you," she said softly. "I won't let Earth down. I won't let any of us down." Xylos nodded approvingly. "I believe you won't. Now, you should rest. Tomorrow, the real challenge begins." As if on cue, a chime sounded throughout the preparation hub. Shimmer's voice echoed in Zoe's mind. "All competitors, report to your designated staging areas. The first trial of the Great Confluence will commence in 6 hours." Zoe took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. This was it. All her training, all her preparation, would be put to the test. As she made her way to her staging area, she felt a curious mix of fear and exhilaration. The staging area was a small, featureless room. A single panel on the wall displayed a countdown timer and a message: "Prepare for molecular deconstruction and reassembly." Trial location: the Nexus. Zoe's heart raced. Molecular deconstruction. What had she gotten herself into? But as the timer ticked down, she forced herself to remain calm. She had come too far to falter now. The timer reached 0. Zoe felt a tingling sensation all over her body, as if every atom of her being was vibrating in unison. The room around her began to fade, dissolving into points of light. In her last moment of coherence, Zoe thought of Earth, of her parents, of the billions of humans going about their lives, blissfully unaware that their fate hung in the balance. She thought of Xylos and the other human offshoots scattered across the galaxy. And she thought of herself, Zhou Chen, the unlikeliest of champions. "I'm ready," she whispered as the world disappeared in a flash of light. When the light faded, Zhou found herself standing on a platform suspended in what appeared to be an infinite void. All around her, similar platforms materialized, each bearing a competitor from the preparation hub. Some she recognized, Zlob, Aaron, Cax, while others were new faces, each more alien than the last. A booming voice echoed through the void, speaking in a language Zhou didn't recognize but somehow understood perfectly. "Welcome, champions of the galaxy, to the first trial of the Great Confluence. Here in the Nexus, you will be tested not just on your knowledge and skills, but on your ability to adapt, to think beyond the confines of your species' limitations. Let the trial begin." The platform beneath Zhou's feet began to move, joining with others to form intricate, ever-shifting patterns. Holographic displays sprang to life around each competitor, presenting data and challenges unique to each individual. Zhou's mind raced as she took in the information before her. This wasn't just a test, it was a cosmic puzzle, a challenge that would push her to the very limits of her newfound abilities. With a deep breath, Zhou Chen, champion of humanity, plunged into the first trial of the Great Confluence. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. But for the first time since this incredible journey began, Zhou felt truly ready to face whatever the universe had in store. Unveiling the truth. The Nexus pulsed with energy as the first trial of the Great Confluence unfolded. Zhou's platform danced through the void, connecting and disconnecting with others in a cosmic ballet of strategy and skill. Her mind raced, processing information at speeds she never thought possible. The challenge, as it turned out, was a multi-layered test of problem-solving, resource management, and diplomacy. Each competitor was given control of a simulated star system, complete with planets, moons, and asteroid belts. The goal was to develop their system into a thriving, advanced civilization while navigating natural disasters, resource scarcity, and conflicts with neighboring systems. Zhou threw herself into the task, drawing on everything she had learned. She terraformed barren worlds, established trade routes with nearby systems, and negotiated complex alliances. Her background in astrophysics proved invaluable as she harnessed the power of her system's star in ways that left even some of the more advanced competitors in awe. Hours passed like minutes as Zhou immersed herself in the simulation. She was vaguely aware of other competitors being eliminated, their platforms dissolving into the void. But she pushed on, driven by a determination she had never known before. As the trial neared its end, Zhou found herself in fierce competition with a handful of remaining challengers. Cax, the four-armed metallic being, had created a vast mining empire. Aaron, the crystalline entity, had developed a civilization of unparalleled technological advancement. And there was another competitor, a shadowy, smoke-like being Zhou hadn't noticed before, whose strategy remained frustratingly opaque. With mere moments left, Zhou made a bold move. She initiated a complex series of gravitational slingshots, using the planets in her system to launch a fleet of ships toward a distant, unclaimed star. It was a risky gambit. If she miscalculated, her entire civilization could be thrown into chaos. The timer hit zero just as Zhou's ships reached their destination. The void fell silent as the judges deliberated. Finally, the booming voice returned. The first trial is complete. Advancing to the next round, Cax of Metalos, Aaron of the Crystal Collective, Zhou of Earth, and Omega of the Void. Zhou let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. She had made it through the first trial. As the platforms began to reform, carrying the remaining competitors back to the preparation hub, Zhou caught sight of Thylos. The Homo Galaxia gave her a subtle nod of approval before disappearing into the light of molecular reconstruction. Back in the preparation hub, the atmosphere had changed. Where before there had been a sense of cautious camaraderie, now tension hung in the air. The eliminated competitors were nowhere to be seen, and those who remained regarded each other with a mix of respect and wariness. Shimmer appeared at Zou's side. "You have done well, Zhou Chen. Rest now. The next trial begins in 12 standard hours." But as Zhou made her way to her quarters, a nagging feeling tugged at the back of her mind. Something about the trial, about this whole competition, felt off. The brutally efficient elimination of competitors, the opacity of the judges' decisions, the sheer scale of the stakes involved, it all seemed somehow wrong. Unable to shake her unease, Zhou decided to do some investigating of her own. She made her way to the observation deck, hoping the vast expanse of space might help clear her mind. But as she approached, she heard voices, hushed, urgent, and definitely not meant to be overheard. "Cannot continue like this," one voice said. It took Zhou a moment to recognize it as Cax's, the metallic timbre unmistakable. "The balance is shifting. If we don't act soon." "Patience, Cax," another voice interrupted. This one Zhou didn't recognize, smooth and melodious, yet with an undercurrent of ancient power. "The cycle must play out as it always has. The Omega Protocol ensures it." Zhou's breath caught in her throat. Omega, the same name as the mysterious fourth competitor who had advanced in the trial. Carefully, she edged closer to the entrance, straining to hear more. "But the human," Cax insisted. "She's different. You've seen what she can do. If she realizes her true potential, then we will deal with her as we have dealt with threats before." The melodious voice replied coldly. "The great confluence must continue. The harvest must proceed." Harvest? Zou's mind reeled. What were they talking about? She leaned in further, desperate to hear more, and lost her balance, stumbling into view. The conversation cut off abruptly. Cax whirled to face her, all four arms tensing in surprise. But it was Cax's companion that drew Zou's attention. The being was unlike anything she had seen before, a swirling mass of darkness and light, somehow both there and not there at the same time. "Well," the being said, its voice the same melodious tone Zhou had overheard. "It seems our young champion is more curious than we anticipated." Cax moved with shocking speed, grabbing Zhou with two of his arms before she could react. "What did you hear?" he demanded. "Let her go, Cax," the shadowy being said. "She cannot harm us. Not yet, at least." Reluctantly, Cax released Zhou. She stumbled back, her mind racing. "Who are you?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "What's really going on here?" The shadowy being seemed to smile, though it had no discernible face. "I am many things, Zhou Chen. Judge, observer, caretaker. You may call me the architect." "The architect," Zhou repeated. "You're behind all this, aren't you? The great confluence, the trials. But why? What's this harvest you mentioned?" The architect's form shimmered, expanding to fill the observation deck. Stars and galaxies swirled within its ethereal body. "The universe is vast, Zhou Chen, but it is not infinite. Resources dwindle. Entropy increases. The great confluence is how we ensure the continuation of life itself." Images flashed through Zou's mind. Entire civilizations rising and falling. Planets stripped of resources, stars going dark. "You're culling species," she gasped, the horrible truth dawning on her. "We are preserving the worthy," the architect corrected. "Those who prove themselves in the great confluence earn the right to continue their existence. Their potential is added to the greater whole. The rest provide the energy needed to sustain the cycle." Zhou felt sick. All her training, all her determination to save Earth, it had all been in service of this cosmic horror. "This is wrong," she said, her voice shaking with anger and disbelief. "You can't just decide which species live or die." The architect's form contracted, focusing its attention solely on Zhou. "And who are you to judge, little human? You, who have seen but a fraction of the universe's wonders and terrors. The great confluence has maintained the balance for eons. It is necessary. No, Zoe said, surprising herself with the steel in her voice. There has to be another way. Cooperation, not competition. We should be working together to solve the universe's problems, not harvesting each other. For a moment, the architect was silent. Then, to Zoe's surprise, it laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a hurricane. Oh, Zoe Chen, you are not the first to challenge the system, nor will you be the last. But know this, the trials will continue. And if you wish to save your species, you will compete. The alternative, well, I think you understand the stakes now. With that, the architect vanished, leaving behind only a lingering sense of ancient, implacable power. Cax regarded Zoe with what might have been sympathy. You should not have learned this, he said quietly. But now that you know, what will you do? Zoe's mind raced. The truth behind the Great Confluence was more horrifying than she could have imagined. But giving up wasn't an option, not when Earth's fate hung in the balance. She thought of her parents, of the billions of humans going about their lives, blissfully unaware of the cosmic judgment looming over them. No, she couldn't give up. But she couldn't simply play along with this monstrous system either. There had to be another way. I'm going to win, Zoe said, her voice steady and determined. I'm going to win the Great Confluence. And then, I'm going to change the rules. Cax's metallic features twisted in what might have been a smile. Bold words, human. But be careful. The architect does not tolerate rebellion lightly. As Cax left, Zoe turned back to the star-filled view beyond the observation deck. The universe suddenly seemed vaster, more terrifying, and yet more wondrous than ever before. She had come to the Great Confluence to save humanity. Now she realized she might have to save the entire galaxy. The next trial loomed, but Zoe's mission had changed. She would compete, yes, but she would also watch, learn, and plan. Somewhere in this vast cosmic arena, there had to be others who opposed the architect's grand design. Allies who could help her not just win the game, but change it entirely. As she left the observation deck, Zoe's steps were filled with new purpose. The Great Confluence had just become a battle for the soul of the universe itself. And Zoe Chen, the girl from Earth who had once only dreamed of the stars, now found herself at the center of a cosmic revolution. The true challenge was only beginning. The Great Escape. The preparation hub hummed with nervous energy as the remaining competitors readied themselves for the second trial. But Zoe's mind was elsewhere, racing with the implications of what she had learned. The Great Confluence wasn't just a competition. It was a cosmic culling, a system designed to harvest entire civilizations. As she absently adjusted the settings on her training simulator, Zoe's thoughts turned to potential allies. Who else might oppose the architect's grand design? Her eyes scanned the room, landing on familiar faces. Aaron, the crystalline being, was deep in meditation, light pulsing through their transparent form. Cax stood in a corner, all four arms moving in complex patterns as he interfaced with some unseen data stream. And there, on the far side of the room, was Xylos, the Homo Galaxia representative. Zoe made her way over to Xylos, trying to appear casual. "Hey," she said softly. "Got a minute?" Xylos looked up, his two human eyes narrowing slightly. "Zoe Chen, impressive performance in the first trial. What can I do for you?" Zoe glanced around, making sure no one was within earshot. "What do you know about the architect?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Xylos' expression didn't change, but Zoe sensed a sudden tension in his posture. "Careful, Earthling," he murmured. "That's not a name to be thrown around lightly." "I know what the Great Confluence really is," Zoe pressed on. "The harvesting, the culling of species. It's wrong, Xylos. We have to do something." For a long moment, Xylos said nothing. Then, with a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of millennia, he nodded toward a secluded alcove. "Not here. Follow me." Once they were hidden from view, Xylos's calm demeanor cracked. "How did you find out?" he demanded. "No, never mind. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you plan to do with this information. Zoe straightened her shoulders. I plan to stop it, to change the system. But I can't do it alone. I need allies, people who see the great confluence for what it really is. Xylos laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. You think you're the first to try. Countless species have discovered the truth over the eons. Some tried to fight, others tried to run. In the end, it changed nothing. The architect always wins. Maybe, Zoe conceded, but they didn't have me. They didn't have us. Humanity, all branches of it, working together. Xylos's eyes narrowed. What are you proposing? An alliance, Zoe said, not just between us, but with anyone else who's willing to stand against the architect. We play along for now, advance through the trials. But we gather information, make connections, and when the time is right. We what? Xylos interrupted. Overthrow a cosmic entity that's existed for billions of years. Remake the entire structure of galactic civilization. Zoe met his gaze steadily. If that's what it takes. For a long moment, Xylos said nothing. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face. A genuine smile, more human than any expression Zoe had seen from him before. You really are something, Zoe Chen. All right, I'm in. But we'll need more than just the two of us. Over the next few hours, as the countdown to the second trial ticked away, Zoe and Xylos worked quietly to gather allies. They approached Aaron, whose crystal form vibrated with barely contained outrage upon learning the truth. Cax, it turned out, had been playing a long game, gathering intel on the architect for cycles. Even Zlob, the gelatinous being who had been eliminated in the first round, was brought into the fold, their fluid form proving invaluable for covert communication. As the call came for competitors to report for the second trial, Zoe felt a mix of determination and fear. She had to perform well enough to advance, all while gathering more information and avoiding the architect's suspicion. The second trial took place in what appeared to be a vast, ever-shifting labyrinth. Holographic walls flickered in and out of existence, gravity reversed at random intervals, and mind-bending puzzles blocked every path. It was a test of adaptability, quick thinking, and spatial reasoning on a scale Zoe had never imagined. But as she navigated the cosmic maze, Zoe's mind was only partly on the challenge at hand. The rest was focused on observing, analyzing, looking for weaknesses in the very fabric of the great confluence itself. She noticed how certain sections of the labyrinth seemed to draw more energy than others, how the architect's presence manifested in subtle distortions of reality. And most importantly, she began to see patterns in the very code that made up this simulated reality. Patterns that reminded her of the fractal mathematics she had studied back on Earth. As the trial neared its end, Zoe found herself neck and neck with Aaron, both of them racing toward what appeared to be the exit. But just as they approached, Zoe noticed something. A flicker in the holographic wall, a moment of instability. In that instant, Zoe made a choice. Instead of pushing for the win, she grabbed Aaron's crystalline form and pulled them both through the flickering section of wall. For a moment, everything went dark. When the light returned, Zoe and Aaron found themselves in a place that shouldn't exist, a liminal space between realities where the raw code of the great confluence was laid bare. What is this place? Aaron's voice echoed strangely in the non-space. I think, Zoe said slowly, her mind racing to process what she was seeing. This is where we start to change things. All around them, streams of data flowed like rivers of light. Zoe could see the entire structure of the great confluence laid out before her. The trials, the competitors, even glimpses of vast harvesting machines waiting in the depths of space. But more than that, she could see the flaws in the system. The places where reality stretched thin, where the architect's control was weakest, and she began to understand how they might be exploited. A booming voice echoed through the void. The architect, calling for the end of the second trial. Zoe knew they had only moments before their absence was noticed. "Aaron," she said urgently, "can you store information in your crystalline structure? Like a living computer?" Aaron's form pulsed with affirmation. "Of course. But why?" "No time to explain. Just record everything you can about this place. Every detail, every line of code. We're going to need it." As Aaron began to glow with absorbed data, Zoe focused her own extraordinary mind on memorizing as much as she could. The mathematics of reality itself seemed to burn themselves into her brain. Just as the world began to shift around them, preparing to pull them back into normal space, Zoe grabbed onto a strand of code. With a mental effort that left her gasping, she twisted it, altering the fabric of the simulation itself. They rematerialized at the exit of the labyrinth, apparently just finishing the trial. The architect's voice boomed overhead, announcing the victors: Zoe, Aaron, Cax, and once again, the mysterious Omega. But as the competitors were transported back to the preparation hub, Zoe allowed herself a small smile. The architect didn't know it yet, but the game had changed. They had found a way behind the curtain, a glimpse of the true nature of the Great Confluence. It wasn't much, a tiny alteration in the code, a doorway left ever so slightly ajar. But it was a start, a chance for Zoe and her growing band of allies to prepare for what came next. As the glow of molecular reconstruction faded, Zoe locked eyes with Silos across the room. She gave him a subtle nod. The message was clear. We have a chance. The great escape, not just from the competition, but from the entire horrific system of the Great Confluence, had begun. The architect's game was still in play. But now, for the first time in eons, there were new players at the table. And Zoe Chen, the girl from Earth who had touched the code of reality itself, was ready to rewrite the rules of the cosmos. Humanity's stand, the preparation hub crackled with tension as the competitors prepared for the final trial of the Great Confluence. But beneath the surface, a current of rebellion was growing stronger by the moment. Zoe stood at the center of a small, diverse group of allies. Silos, the Homo Galaxia representative, his eyes shining with a mix of hope and trepidation. Aaron, their crystalline form pulsing with the stolen data from the between space. Cax, all four of his metallic arms twitching with nervous energy. And Slob, their gelatinous form rippling with anticipation. "We have one shot at this," Zoe said, her voice low but filled with determination. "Once the final trial begins, we put our plan into action. Aaron, you'll use the data we gathered to create a distraction in the simulation. Cax, your job is to interface with the system and keep the architect's attention divided. Zlob, you'll slip through the cracks and disable the harvesting machines we identified. Tylos and I will confront the architect directly." "And if we fail?" Cax asked, his metallic features twisted with concern. Zoe met each of their gazes in turn. "Then we go down fighting, knowing we tried to save not just our own species, but all life in the galaxy." A chime sounded, signaling the imminent start of the final trial. As they made their way to the staging area, Silos pulled Zoe aside. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "Once we start, there's no going back. The architect will not show mercy." Zoe nodded, her jaw set with determination. "I'm sure. It's time we showed the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." The staging area hummed with energy as the remaining competitors assembled. Zoe could feel the architect's presence, a palpable weight in the air. As the countdown began, she closed her eyes, focusing her mind on the pattern she had glimpsed in the code of reality itself. The world dissolved around them, reforming into a vast cosmic arena. Stars and galaxies swirled overhead, and beneath their feet, a platform of pure energy crackled and shifted. The architect's voice boomed across the cosmos. "Champions of the galaxy, you have reached the final trial. Here, you will face your greatest challenge yet. The victor will earn survival and ascension for their species. The losers will serve the greater balance of the universe." But before the architect could explain the parameters of the trial, Aaron sprang into action. Their crystalline form blazed with light, projecting the stolen data into the fabric of the simulation itself. Reality rippled and distorted, creating gaps in the architect's carefully constructed world. Cax moved next, his four arms becoming a blur as he interfaced directly with the cosmic program. Streams of data flowed around him as he worked to keep the system off balance. Zlob's gelatinous form slipped through the cracks in reality, vanishing from the arena entirely. Zoe knew they were making their way to the harvesting machines, ready to sabotage the grim instruments of the architect's design. Chaos erupted in the arena as other competitors, unaware of the plan, reacted with confusion and panic. Amidst the tumult, Zoe and Silos locked eyes and nodded. It was time. Together, they'd reached out with their minds, using the knowledge they had gained to pull themselves through the thinning barriers of the simulation. With a sensation like breaking through the surface of water, they emerged into a realm beyond the arena, beyond the great confluence itself. Here, the universe was laid bare. Streams of probability flowed like rivers. Timelines branched and merged in dizzying patterns, and at the center of it all stood the architect. Up close, the being was both more and less than Zoe had imagined. A swirling vortex of cosmic energy, somehow ancient and newborn at the same time. Within its form, Zoe could see the echoes of countless civilizations, the accumulated knowledge of eons. Impossible, the architect's voice resonated through the fabric of reality itself. No mere contestants should be able to reach this place. We're more than just contestants, Zoe said, her voice steady despite the awe-inspiring sight before her. We're the future you've been trying to control, and we're here to change the rules. The architect's form pulsed with what might have been amusement or anger. Brave words, little human, but do you truly understand what you're facing? I am the balance of the cosmos itself. Without me, without the cycle of the great confluence, entropy would consume all. You're wrong, Xylos interjected. The universe doesn't need your kind of balance. Life finds a way. It adapts, it grows. Your system is stagnation, not preservation. Zoe stepped forward, her mind racing with the cosmic mathematics she had glimpsed. We can find a better way. Cooperation instead of competition, using our combined knowledge to solve the problems of entropy and scarcity. But it has to start with ending the harvests, with giving all species a chance to reach their full potential. The architect's form writhed, tendrils of energy lashing out. And who are you to decide the fate of the cosmos? You who have existed for the merest blink of an eye. We are the future, Zoe said simply, and it's time for a change. With that, Zoe and Tylos reached out, not with their hands but with their minds, their very beings. They touched the streams of cosmic data that flowed through and around the architect, and they began to rewrite the code of reality itself. It was a battle beyond anything Zoe had ever imagined. The architect's power was vast, its knowledge accumulated over billions of years. But Zoe and Tylos had something the architect did not: the unpredictability of youth, the audacity to imagine a different way. As they struggled, Zoe became aware of other presences joining them. Aaron, their crystalline form blazing with stolen knowledge. Cax, his mechanical precision a counterpoint to the cosmic chaos. Zlob, their fluid nature allowing them to flow through the very fabric of space-time. And behind them, countless others, the spirits of species long harvested, the hopes of civilizations yet to be born. Together, they pushed against the architect's control, unraveling the cruel logic of the great confluence. Zoe felt her mind expanding, touching the very edges of the universe. She saw possibilities unfolding, futures where life flourished in infinite diversity. With a sound like the birth of a star, something fundamental shifted in the cosmos. The architect's form wavered, its certainty crumbling in the face of a new paradigm. What have you done? The being's voice echoed, no longer all-powerful but confused, almost afraid. Zoe stood tall, her eyes shining with the light of newborn galaxies. We've given the universe a choice. No more harvests, no more culling. From now on, Every species gets a chance to grow, to learn, to reach for the stars on their own terms. The architect's form began to dissolve, its energy spreading out across the cosmos. But as it faded, Zoe sensed not defeat, but a kind of release. Perhaps it whispered, "It is time for a new way. The cycle has turned. The future is yours to shape." With a final pulse of light, the architect was gone. The cosmic arena of the great confluence dissolved around them, reality reshaping itself to a new template. Zoe found herself back on the observation deck of the now transformed preparation hub, her allies beside her. Through the vast windows, they could see the harvesting machines breaking apart, their components scattering to form the seeds of new worlds. "We did it," Xylos breathed, his two human eyes wide with wonder. "We actually did it." Zoe nodded, a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration washing over her. "We did, but this is just the beginning. There's so much work to do, so many civilizations to connect, so much knowledge to share." As if in response to her words, holographic displays sprang to life around them, showing scenes from across the galaxy. Species that had once been pitted against each other were now reaching out, making first contact, sharing insights and technologies. "Look," Aaron's crystalline voice chimed. "There's your Earth." Zoe's breath caught as she saw her home planet, beautiful and blue. But now, descending from orbit, were ships of designs she had never seen before. The secret of humanity's cosmic neighbors was being revealed, not as a threat, but as an invitation to join a vast galactic community. "They're going to need a guide," Cax rumbled. "Someone to help them navigate this new reality." Zoe squared her shoulders, a smile spreading across her face. "Well then, I guess it's time for me to go home. But not alone. Will you all come with me? There's so much we can teach each other, so much we can accomplish together." Her allies, no, her friends, nodded in agreement. As they made preparations to return to Earth, Zoe felt a sense of limitless possibility. The great confluence was over, but humanity's true journey to the stars was just beginning. And Zoe Chen, the girl who had dreamed of unraveling the mysteries of the universe, found herself at the forefront of a new age of cosmic cooperation and discovery. The stars stretched out before her, not as a challenge to be conquered, but as a vast community waiting to be explored, one connection at a time. The end of the great confluence marked the start of something far greater, a future where every species, every world, had the chance to reach its full potential. And humanity, with its unique blend of curiosity, adaptability, and determination, was ready to take its place among the stars.